the end of a helicopter ride in the newest addition to the British Commonwealth of Nations, the Republic of Bangladesh. And for the Commonwealth's newest Prime Minister, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the start of the most important political journey of his life. His reception here is warm to the point of adulation. His 9-month-long imprisonment in West Pakistan has elevated him to the level of a superman in the turbulent world of Asian politics. His fervent championship of the cause of Bangladesh has cast him in the role of a messiah. But the crowds who flock to his rallies are the same people who may yet be the harshest judges of Sheikh Mujib's fight to restore order. This week, with the heady aftermath of independence fast disappearing, Echo looks at some of the problems facing Sheikh Mujib and the new Republic of Bangladesh. If there ever was a deity responsible for the creation of states and nations, then his blueprints for Bangladesh, formerly East Pakistan, must bear the stamp of bad planning at least, sheer malevolence at most. More than 70 million people are packed into an area barely twice the size of Ireland, and contending annually with the ravages of monsoons and cyclones. A naturally precarious economy teetered on the brink of disaster last year, and is only now beginning to re-establish itself. Shops and markets are trading again, and food is becoming less scarce. Food for the people in camps like this one, set up shortly after the end of the war and guarded by Bengali irregulars, the Mukti Bahini. Men with guns. This is just one of the unfortunate legacies of the war which continue to threaten the new republic. Sometimes these Bengali nationalists change their guns for banners and take to the streets to press for the setting up of a Bangladesh with room for Bengalis only. On many occasions, the Indian Army was the only force capable of disciplining their demonstrations at the point of a gun. But the Indian Army is now gone, and with it, Sheikh Mujib's most reliable police force. But the extreme nationalists among his supporters haven't disappeared, and they are still forcing bloody confrontations with whatever forces of law and order Bangladesh can muster. So it's on the former East Pakistan Rifles, whose troops supplied the nucleus of the tiny Bangladesh army, that Sheikh Mujib will have to rely more and more. Its efficiency as a fighting force is not in doubt. The smart Sandhurst style would warm even the most unrepentant British colonial officer's heart. But the War of Independence is over and won, and no amount of enthusiasm can alter the facts. And the facts are that there are far too few soldiers to police this chaotic new country, and that soldiers of any country don't make very good policemen anyway. The problems are impressive. To persuade hothead Bangladesh nationalists to turn in the weapons they used in their struggle against West Pakistan and ensure they are not used to settle old scores with other rival political camps. To quell the more blatantly racist groups among Sheikh Mujib's supporters, and to control the rapidly growing Russian-inspired communist propaganda campaign. All problems of a nature and complexity unlikely to respond to purely military solutions, no matter how efficiently they are carried out. Most of Bangladesh's political problems seem typified here. These are the Mukti Bahini, the student followers of Sheikh Mujib, who are bent on continuing the war against West Pakistan as a Marxist class war against the people of their own new nation. But surely your enemies have already been beaten.
No, we are fighting against bourgeois.
So the war against the West has taken on a new shape.
Yes. That is the political one, not geographical one or only.
But can you really justify keeping your gun? Would you ever give up your arms?
It is given by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman.
And under what circumstances would you surrender your weapons?
I will surrender my arms when we'll see that our general people is eating and they are laughing and they are playing. Really.
But for women like this, the idea of laughter in Bangladesh is a mockery, for this is a camp for Biharis, refugees in their own country. These Muslims had the misfortune to emigrate to East Pakistan from the Indian state of Bihar at the time of partition. For many years they ran the civil service and the commercial life of the country. But at the birth of Bangladesh, they found themselves unwanted. Worse, many of them were branded as collaborators with the hated West Pakistan army, as exploiters of the numerically superior Bengalis. Now, stripped of their homes and jobs, they wait in forlorn queues for a bit of bread, some rice, and a can of water, surrounded by barbed wire and a hostile population. Government spokesmen deny the real facts of the Biharis' plight, that they are slowly starving in their thousands, unwanted by India or West Pakistan, that armed gangs of Bengalis have abducted and raped their women and killed their men. Inside the camp, a daily struggle for the barest necessities of food and water. There are now reports of suicides in the camps as the only escape from a hopeless situation. The army forces the Biharis to look for weapons dumps left over from the war. The Biharis get the blame, whenever guns are found, for arms which might well have been hidden by the Bengalis when they were fighting last year. But in the current climate, it's convenient to blame the Biharis for all the country's ills. In a country where even those outside the camps are hungry, the Biharis depend utterly on foreign relief shipments, many of which disappear off the docks only to reappear for sale in Dhaka. In fact, the whole of Bangladesh is dependent on foreign relief shipments, and it may be a measure of Sheikh Mujib's inability to deal with the realities of his new nation that he permits the miseries of his people to be exploited for political purposes. Except for India, most of the aid that keeps these people alive comes from Great Britain, the United States, and Canada. But the government-controlled media leads Bengalis to believe that it comes from the Soviet bloc. Sheikh Mujib's reasons for discrediting the West are as yet obscure. But there is nothing obscure about the new bureaucracy's aim to identify and isolate all those who are not Muslim, Bengali, or wholehearted supporters of the new republic. Thus, a three-headed monster has been loosed in Bangladesh. As displaced refugees set off in search of a new life, they face the forces of blind nationalism, rampant racism, and the revolutionary Marxism of the Mukti Bahinis, a boiling broth into which the Soviet Union has launched its latest neo-colonialist gamble. And by permitting it all, Sheikh Mujib may be sending Bangladesh on a one-way trip to chaos, surpassing even the bloody war that gave it its birth. Sheikh Mujib seems firmly attached to the tail of a roaring Bengal tiger.